Hello, I'm Adam Barralet and welcome to this video where we're exploring Azrael, the angel of death. Now you may be wondering, why are we exploring an angel of death? Aren't angels all about love and light? Well, angels are about raising our vibration and being in a high vibration of all different aspects of life. That's why we have angels for love, angels for friendship, angels for prosperity, angels for dreams, and so on. So why an angel of death? Well, because death is a natural part of living. In fact, as we all know, the only thing we can be certain about is death. I can't guarantee you love, I can't guarantee you money, but unfortunately I can guarantee you death. We often in the West especially have a really interesting relationship with death, and that we don't want to talk about it or we don't want to think about it. But if you're a follower of my channel, then you like all things of nature. You love crystals, you love essential oils, and in nature, death is part of life. Go walking through any ecosystem, imagine a forest, and yes, there are flourishing trees and lots of animals, but there is death. The leaves that fall on the ground are decaying, and that is an important part of life. We go through deaths, not just when we lose a loved one, but constantly throughout our lives. In fact, when we end a relationship, it's the death of a relationship. Sometimes we have the death of a job, the death of an era, the death of a holiday. At night we go to sleep, and that is the death of the day. Being okay with death and accepting death as being part of life is really, really important. And this angel is exactly looking at not just the end of life, but the end of everything. I think it's really, really important to work with these angels and to acknowledge this and to have an appreciation for death and a respect for death. In that way, we actually honor and respect our lives a lot more. It may sound a little bit weird, but in some weird way, I like going to funerals. Not because I'm happy about someone passing, far from it, but it always reminds me that every single day counts, and to stop sitting on the sidelines and to get out there and make the most of life. So let's dive in and let's explore an angel that can support us throughout our entire lives until the very end, Azrael. Azrael's name translates to mean whom God helps, and this is the angel that definitely comes to help you at the end of any type of death. Just like you've probably been at a funeral service before and the staff around have that real steady and unhurried approach, sometimes I think maybe Azrael is manifesting as one of them, because he's renowned for having that very similar energy. You can call upon Azrael to help you through any process of dying, whether it be at the end of your life or anything throughout your life that you need to let go of. He actually helps us to also make sure that we acknowledge the grief and acknowledge the pain of letting go, and kind of sit in that pain for a little while before we move on. When we're able to process and work through that, then Azrael actually helps us in being an angel of emotional liberation. Rather than carrying the pain of loss and grief for years and years and years, by working with Azrael, he allows us to let go, to grieve, and then to be liberated. So this is a beautiful angel to support you whenever you want. Now, typically, this angel is depicted in being very dark and black clothing because of that solemn nature. Again, don't get confused with thinking black is evil. Black is just about introspection, quietness, and that solemnness that we would expect whenever we're dealing with the ending of anything in our lives. Call upon Azrael's support whenever you need to let go or accept a death that's happening in your life. Now, this would be the angel that you would welcome into your life at the end, but sometimes I ask for Azrael's guidance when I'm supporting someone else who's passing. When my father and my grandparents died, I got the sense that some of them were kind of clinging on and scared to go. Remember, Azrael, being of a higher vibration, is there to comfort those in their final moments, and sometimes whispering a few words and asking Azrael to help them, and even reassuring that loved one that it's okay to die. Everyone here is looked after and we're ready for you to leave, is a really supportive thing that can allow that transition to go with a lot more ease. Now also, Azrael can help us with that grieving period. A really beautiful practice is to welcome Azrael into your space and light a candle. And as you look at that candle, think about the person that you're grieving. Or maybe it was a pet, or maybe it was something in your life, a relationship or a job that you loved or a holiday. Look at that light. Allow that light to remind you of the beauty and the joy and the light and everything, that the blessings that person or pet or thing brought into your lives. Acknowledge that and really celebrate that for a moment. And then when you're ready, blow out the candle. As you blow out the candle, it doesn't symbolize forgetting about them. It symbolizes letting go of them, giving them the freedom to be, cherishing the memories but not holding on to the pain anymore. And Azrael can help you to grieve. Tears may flow then, they may flow later, but that's exactly what Azrael can help with. Now you may find after losing someone really close to you, you may want to do this over and over again, or especially on the festival of Samhain, sometimes referred to as Halloween, somewhere between the autumn equinox, winter solstice and the autumn equinox, is another really great time when the veils are at their thinnest, and you may call Azrael again to let go of that suffering and pain. Whenever you feel that you're clinging onto something that's not serving you anymore, a loved one or otherwise, Azrael is there to help you. Now, when Azrael's around, sometimes this angel will use ravens, crows, or peacocks as a symbol. So if you notice any of them, that may be a sign that Azrael is giving you a clue that it's time to let something pass, whether that be a relationship, an opportunity, or someone in your life. So when you need to let go, Azrael's there to support you. Just call the angel and the angel will bring you support. There are two crystals that beautifully align with Azrael's guidance and energy. Now the first one is an Apache tear. Now here in the Middle East, I've only got my little ring that is an Apache tear, but they're basically little balls of obsidian. And there's a beautiful story that comes along with the Apache tear. Once upon a time, the US cavalry was actually pursuing a group of Apache Indians, and unfortunately, they got cornered on the edge of a cliff. Rather than surrender, they decided to jump off the side of the cliff and perished. There, the Apache women cried and cried and cried, not only for the loss of the men they loved, but also for the loss that everyone would experience forevermore. And as their tears fell to the ground, it became the Apache tears. These beautiful little black balls of obsidian give us a sense of strength. They give us a strength of going on and knowing that we are not alone in our grief. Being a black crystal, black obviously absorbs low vibration or unwanted energies, so it is a really great one to give to someone else or to hold when they are going through a grieving process to help them absorb some of that pain. Azrael allows us to do that as well, and so resonates beautifully with that crystal's form. Now, I also spoke about Azrael being very much to do with emotional liberation, going through the process, the grieving process, to let things go. A really beautiful crystal for allowing this to happen is called Quantum Quattro. This is a crystal that was discovered in 1996, only in Namibia, and is very, very rare, but you can still find it around, and it's definitely worth having a piece. People often ask me what my favorite crystals are, and this would probably be in the top 3. So in here you have 5 different crystals that all help you with the emotional healing process. First of all, you have malachite. Malachite brings issues to the surface and allows us to deal with them right there. Shadowkite, which is dark blue, working with the third eye chakra, allows us to understand and comprehend a situation. Then you have dioptase, this vibrant green crystal that resonates with the thymus or the higher heart chakra. This allows us to accept what has happened. And then you have chrysocolla, which allows you to release and surrender that pain and that suffering. Then these 4 crystals that are green and blue grow in a beautiful bed of smoky quartz. And smoky quartz gives you a big hug, grounds you and says, well done, tiger, you went through it. Working with Quantum Quattro allows you to go through the grieving process, the letting go process, whatever that may be. And so when you're working with Azrael, to be supported in that, to be okay with saying goodbye, to close that chapter, so maybe the next chapter can open, this crystal will really support you as well. In many of my angel blends and many of my other blends as well, I like to make trios of oils, but when it comes to Azrael and supporting us through letting go and death, I actually combine 5 different oils to really support us in every single way. So these oils, first of all, I like to start off with cilantro and wintergreen. Cilantro and wintergreen are both leaf oils, but wintergreen is renowned for helping us to surrender. It's really good for muscle aches and pain, so it allows tension to move out of the body, but it also allows emotional tension as well to move out of the body. So very good for helping us to surrender to the emotions. And cilantro is a detoxifier. We use it for getting rid of heavy metals and heaviness. So when we need to surrender to the emotions and let go of the heaviness of the emotions, these two oils work really well together. Now combine that with cypress. There is a myth about Cyprus where the young, beautiful prince Saprasios fell in love and became a lover of the god Apollo. They would spend time in the woods every day, just doing whatever young men did in those kind of days, but they'd also always be accompanied by the stag deer that was the pet of Saprasios and had been since he was young. Now one day, these boys were throwing javelins to see how far they could throw them, because that's what boys did before they had computer games, and Saprasios pulled his arm back, looked at Apollo behind him to make sure he was watching, and without looking where he was aiming, threw the javelin and killed his beloved stag deer. Being so overwhelmed with grief, he begged Apollo, please let me go into the underworld to be with my stag deer. But Apollo loved him so much he didn't want to let him go. So he turned him into the cypress tree, with the roots going deep into the underworld, but the tree pointing up to the Olympians. So cypress has long been associated with grief, and you'll find it in different places such as Eastern European, definitely being the tree that's planted around cemeteries. Cypress on a physical level allows all fluids in our body to flow. But from my own experience and other people's experience, it also allows tears to flow, and thus it really helps us to support and come to terms with grief. You then have myrrh. Now we often think of myrrh when it comes to the stories of Jesus. He was given gold because he was a king, frankincense because he was a god, and myrrh because he was immortal and one day would die. Myrrh is a great oil to support anyone in letting go of life, so it's used as an anointing oil near death. But it also offers us comfort at any time when there is sadness around, and to be reassured that everything will be okay. And then finally you have myrtle, which was used by the Egyptians to honor the cycles of life and death. The tree gives us this beautiful essential oil from its leaves. But throughout the year, the white blossoms that represent incarnation into this lifetime come and then they go. And at other times, black fruit, which represent the journey into the underworld, will come and they'll go. The one thing that is constant is those leaves containing the myrtle essential oil. That is a symbol of the soul and immortality, and that the soul keeps on going even though change is inevitable. Life, death, and rebirth is part of living. So you can mix all those 5 oils together in a blend, pop it in a diffuser, pop it in a roller ball, or you can just use those 5 oils around. By bringing them together, you're going to find that the presence of Azrael is there to help you come to terms with letting go, grief, and accept all aspects of death in your life. So I'd love to know, what's your experience with Azrael? Often people see him as a dark or an evil angel, but if we're going to honor all the aspects of life, I think we need to honor and celebrate the importance that death does play in our lives. Not only the end of our lives, but in order to live and in order to grow, we must allow things to die. If you didn't allow your first relationship, your first job, your first car, all those different things to die so that you could move on to bigger and better things, where would you be today? So death has played an important role in your life. I hope that today has helped you a little bit to learn a little bit more about how to appreciate the angel Azrael. But I'd love to hear, have you worked with Azrael? What's your experience? Please share in the comment section below. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I'm Barralet. Blessed be.